Hey there, yogis. Today's class will be a nice gentle sequence that will have us opening the body in a safe way from standing before making our way towards the floor, where we'll get to elongate our spine while we safely open up the hips and the backside of the legs. This practice is going to be sweet, gentle, calm, safe, therapeutic. So if you've got a yoga mat, we'll grab it to get started, and I will meet you there. Namaste. Beginning this sequence from standing, we'll come to a place on our mats where we can move our arms out to our sides and overhead without knocking into anything. And we'll come into some shoulder rolls as we try to stand up tall. And then we'll go ahead and start to check in with our breath here. We'll see if the nasal passageway is clear today. And if it is, I'm going to invite you to start breathing in and out through your nose. So we'll try to inhale as we lift these shoulders up. Exhale as they draw down. All right, and we're aiming for a couple more. We're trying to warm the shoulders up here, exercising them by opening them and strengthening them simultaneously to create a little heat in the body. Now we're gonna lift those shoulders up. Now we're gonna squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them back, and then we're gonna release, and you can shake that out if you'd like to. Now we'll find a nice Tadasana position, a nice mountain pose. So we're going to stand up nice and tall. We'll check in with the positioning of our feet, maybe about hip distance apart or a little closer together, or even a little further apart if you need to, for a little better balance, a little better understanding. Then we're going to make sure that we posteriorly tilt our tailbone. So naturally in our day and then throughout our lives, we start to accentuate this arching of the lower back. And that tends to lead to a lot of discomfort in our body. So what we're going to do is right now, to create our mountain pose, we're going to lengthen this lower back by posteriorly tilting the tailbone, and even in a gentle context, we're going to engage the muscles of our core. We're going to gently draw the abdominal muscles in towards the spine, and this is how we're going to cultivate strengthening in stillness. We're going to be standing in our mountain pose, but we're finding strength deep from within, and then we check in with that breath. We'll see if the nasal passageway is clear today. And if it is, we'll draw the breath in and out of the body through the nose. Now we're going to make sure to turn our palms to face out, and you're going to really point those thumbs back behind you. And this is to help us spiral those shoulders back, because they're so often rolled forward. We need help to turn them back. So now that we've turned them back, we're going to lengthen up through the neck and head, and we're going to get ready to move. Inhaling, we draw the arms up and overhead. And we're going to retrace that circle as we exhale and draw the gaze back down, maybe to the screen or to the floor. Inhaling, we'll move. Exhaling, lowering the arms back down, stretching out to the sides, reaching down, and then inhaling, reaching out to the sides, and now reaching up as you look up. And last time here, retracing that circle as we bring our arms back down to our sides. Now keep your right arm by your right side. You can step your feet out just a little bit further apart if you, again, need a little better balance. And we'll keep the right hand here as we turn the left palm up. Take an inhale to draw your left arm up. And we're gonna gently investigate the movement of steering the right hand down the right leg. And then just going to a place that's comfortable where you can stay engaged through the core gently, the way we described at the start of mountain pose, where you can keep that posterior tilt of your tailbone to protect the lower back that we talked about in the start of our class in mountain pose. And let's go ahead and inhale to lift up. Exhale to release, getting ready for a second side. So right arm now tilts out. Inhale the right arm up. And now we're going to prepare to guide the body gently to steer this left hand down the left side of the body. And we're going to stop at a place where we can still engage those muscles, engage that tailbone, but where we're able to feel a nice stretch simultaneously here in that outer hip. And then checking in with the neck and head too for one more breath. Let's go ahead and inhale to lift up. And exhale to release. So we'll turn those palms back out again. Maybe walk that out a little bit through the feet to get some movement in the legs and hips. And we're gonna do a little bit more with that now. Bringing your hands to your hips. Let's pull our shoulders, elbows back. Lengthen the spine. Find that gentle core. Take an inhale with me here. Bend gently the knees as you exhale. And we're gonna hold here. And we're gonna watch that the body is naturally gonna say, are you sure you don't wanna release that glute back behind you? It's gonna want that. The core is gonna say, are you sure I can't come forward in this shape? So finding that gentle core, keeping that posterior tilt of the tailbone, that's the work here. But remember, it's gentle. We still breathe calmly and rhythmically while we hold. And that's how we know we're doing this safely. Let's go ahead and inhale up to standing, straighten the legs, and we can exhale to release the arms by our sides. And now we're back in our mountain pose. All right, gonna come back into the shoulders now. We're gonna inhale the arms halfway up, just like this. And remember, those thumbs are, the palms are facing up in this shape, and the thumbs are trying to reach back behind us if they can, trying to point, that's the word I'm looking for, back behind us. And now think about engaging your arms fully, lengthening your right side and your left side away from each other for one more breath, and then we'll get to exhale and release and shake that out. We're gonna add on to that now. So standing in our mountain pose, getting nice and tall, we'll inhale the arms halfway up. And now we're going to turn the palms to face the screen. So my hands will face your hands. And now we're going to bend at the elbows, lifting the hands up to the ceiling. And the temptation here is going to be to have the elbows either lifting up higher than the shoulders, or the temptation might naturally be, without noticing, that the elbows are lower than the shoulders. So we need to lift those elbows in line with the shoulders. Keep the neck and head in line too. Remember the core, that gentle mountain pose core. We need to find it here for one more breath. And now we get to release. So that's us strengthening the body here in a stillness. And this is a way we can explore heating the body, strengthening the body, and opening the body in a gentle and safe context. So coming into some shoulder rolls if you haven't joined in with me. And then we're gonna bring our hands back to our hips. Now this time we're gonna step our feet a little bit further apart for a more wide-legged position. We're gonna turn our toes out and have our heels turn in. We gotta find the gentle core to stand up nice and tall so that we can strengthen and protect the lower back. We'll take a nice inhale here, pulling shoulders and elbows back. And as we exhale, we bend into the knees only to a point that's comfortable, accessible. We wanna go to always a place before ouch in our yoga class. We wanna always maintain a practice with a steady rhythmic breath. So whatever work we're doing, we're always doing it with that calm, sweet rhythmic inhale. And calm, sweet, rhythmic exhale. And this will be the last breath. Let's go ahead and inhale to straighten out the legs, and exhale. I'm pivoting through the heels, turning the toes back forward. And I'm gonna go ahead and heel toe my feet back in, and so that I can walk a little bit on the spot. All right. Now we're gonna do a little bit more work with the shoulders now. So stepping my feet about hip distance apart just for some good understanding. We'll extend the arms out to the sides, and now we're gonna come into a tricep stretch and a general all-around shoulder cleanse. So we're gonna inhale the right arm up, and now you're gonna pat yourself on your back. And then you're gonna inhale your left arm up too to find that right elbow, and see if we can come a little bit more into that stretch here along the tricep as you pull the elbow into the head. Now some of us might be more in this shape. That's okay too, right? Because we're feeling the work, we're feeling the stretch. So wherever you are, we're imagining how to open up the body and strengthen the body to create this alignment if we're not there yet. So we're drawing the core in, we're lengthening through the neck and head, and we're trying to lift this elbow up while the shoulder stays down. One more breath here, okay? Now we're gonna inhale, we'll straighten out that right arm, release the left arm too, and exhale, arms will come down. Any shoulder rolls or shaking that you like through the arms, feel welcome to take that, and we'll get ready for our second side. Coming into mountain pose. Now I'm gonna inhale, left arm up, pat myself on the back. Maybe you get a nice stretch right here, so you can stay right here, but most of us are probably gonna inhale that right arm up to kind of come around for this left elbow. And then we wanna make sure that we don't slacken the body, of course, in this shape. We wanna stand up nice and tall. So keeping that tailbone tucked under, that core engaged. We're lengthening right up through the neck and head. And then I'm feeling this in the length of the tricep here, but I'm also feeling some work in the general circumference of the entire shoulder, feeling a little bit of work as I create this shape with the body. And we're gonna keep breathing for one more breath here. And now we'll inhale our arms up and exhale to release. And we can shake that out, walk a little bit on the spot or roll through the shoulders if you like. I'm a big fan of shoulder rolling. So we're going to bring our hands back to our hips. We're going to repeat our chair pose. So feet are going to be about hips distance apart. And now we're going to add the arms to it. So that's what we were even doing before if we hadn't put that together yet. But we'll bring our hands to our waist, pull the shoulders and elbows back, and then we'll take a nice inhale, lengthen spine, gentle core, exhale, bending into knees. Now if you want to add the arms too, we're going to extend the arms down to the sides. We're going to inhale the arms up, maybe all the way up, or if that starts to create some pain in the shoulders or some discomfort in the shoulders, let's open up into cactus shape. So we'll aim for 2 more breaths here. Really drawing that core in and remembering to keep the posterior tilt of that tailbone for 1 more breath. And now if you want to inhale, lifting arms up, stretching legs out, we'll exhale to release. And you can walk that out on the spot. Take a nice deep breath. And a little self-massage on the quadriceps too, using the palms. I'm going to guide my palm down the femur from the hip down to the knees. I like that. Nice little self-massage here. All right, coming back to a nice standing position, we're going to create our mountain pose, and we're going to come towards the back edge of our mats. And then we're going to bring our shoulders back, elbows back too as our hands come to our hips. I'm going to take a little step with my left foot and a big step with my right foot. I'm preparing for warrior 1 here. Pulling the right hip back, we're drawing the left hip forward. We're trying to posterior tilt the tailbone and draw the core in. Pulling elbows and shoulders back too. For 1 more breath, getting a nice stretch in the front side of the left hip here and also the back of the left calf. And then we'll go ahead and inhale to straighten out the right leg. And then as I exhale, I'm going to heel toe that back foot in. And when I get to a place that's comfortable and easy, I'll step the feet together. And now we'll come towards the back edge of our mat for our second side. So we're doing 1 set just legs, and then we'll add the arms for second set. So this time, right foot steps out a little bit, and then we'll take a bigger step with left foot. We're pulling left hip back to draw the right hip forward. Elbows and shoulders back too as we take a nice inhale, and then we bend into that left knee as we exhale. And sometimes you might find you didn't step enough forward, and a safe way to move the foot is to actually straighten the leg and then crawl the toes forward, and so that you can rebend that knee. And we're trying to feel this nice stretch in the front side of the right hip and maybe the back of the right calf too for 1 more breath. And we'll inhale to straighten out the left leg. And as you exhale, maybe heel to the back foot in till you get to a place where you can step the feet back together. And we'll come back to the center of our mats and walk that out. Now we're going to slow down our walk, and we're going to call it a slow march. So keeping the hands on the hips and the shoulders, I'm going to ground down through the left foot and lift the right heel off the floor. Now we want to feel a stretch through the foot. So see if you can lift your right heel, but push down through the big toe knuckle of your right foot. Good. Really push down for 1 more breath. And now we're going to try to lift onto a pointed toe position. So my foot's still touching the floor, but I'm trying to point the toes on that right foot. And now we need to check in. Did the left hip lean out to the side? Let's draw that left hip in. What's going to happen here is that's going to naturally lift the right hip up. Then we want to make sure we don't lose the core, gentle core, firmly fixing the gaze. And can we lift the foot off the ground for any amount, for any height? It's okay if we're playing with a little amount of height, or if the toes still stay on the floor. Maybe you're here, watch that outer hip for 1 more breath. Let's go ahead and lower down. Find that push through and release through the big toe knuckle before releasing the right heel down. And so we're rolling that out. We'll get ready for our second side. So finding some nice stillness, mountain pose, Tadasana, posterior tilt to the tailbone with that engagement, gentle of the muscles deep within our core. We're leaning into our right side and we're lifting left heel off the ground. And now I'm pushing into my big toe left, the knuckle of my left big toe to lift my right heel up and get a nice stretch and feel a nice release in that toe. Good. And now I'm going to point the toes on that left foot, and you're going to see what happens. Did we lose our core a little bit here? Let's draw it back in. We got to really lift this right hip in. That should help lift this left hip up. And that should also be enough engagement in those outer hips to really help us steer this foot off the ground any amount. So some of us might get here and play with this. You might fall in and out of the pose. That's okay too. And remember, you could be here too. Just drawing that muscle in. Do you still feel it in your outer hips? Remembering to keep the core on board too. If we need help with the gaze, we firmly fix it somewhere on the floor in front of us. Let's go ahead and bring the foot down if it's not already there. Push down into the big toe knuckle of your left foot, and then you can release your left heel down, and then you can walk that out or shake that out in any way that feels good. Let's move the arms to get into the upper, to get out of the legs a little bit. We're gonna step the feet wider apart now, and we're gonna turn our palms to face out. Inhale the arms up, and let's bring our hands down to heart center here. Inhale, push into the palms, lift the elbows. Exhale, release. Let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale. Stay here for your inhale. Release your hands. Exhale. Now lifting right arm up, or left arm up, excuse me. And we're going to exhale over towards your right. I'm trying to mirror you all in case you're wondering about that. We'll go ahead and inhale to lift and exhale to lower down. Second side. Inhaling and exhaling. It's just a short little hold here. All right, let's inhale to lift and exhale to release. And then we'll start to walk the feet back in. So we got one more standing posture before we make our way towards the floor. And for this pose, we're gonna add our arms to our warrior one sequence. So coming back to the back edge of your mat for our first side, we're gonna get ready to take a little step with the left foot, a big step with the right foot. Maybe I'm gonna take a little bit of a hint from my last set and remember that I actually wanna crawl my right toes forward now, making sure that your feet are not maybe on the same line, but maybe on two parallel lines. So if I were to make a line on the floor here, my feet are not on the same lines, okay? Pulling right hip back. Let's extend our arms down to the sides now. And you're gonna inhale your arms up before exhaling deeper into that right knee. And if you want to, again, crawl those toes, I'm already finding I'd like a nice lunge here because I get a nice stretch in that back calf. Okay, one more breath here. Let's inhale, straighten out the leg. Exhale, hands to hips. Heel toe back, foot in until we feel comfortable to step the feet together. And now you'll go to the back edge of your mat, getting ready for second set. So shoulders and elbows pull back. I take a little step forward with my right foot. I'm already turning my toes out. And on my left foot, my toes are facing straight ahead. I check in to see about the parallel lines. Pulling left hip back, drawing right hip forward, we extend our arms down to our sides, turning those palms to face back behind us. We inhale the arms up, and as we exhale, we bend into the left knee, and we try to keep those shoulders down the back because they're gonna try to lift up towards the ears. And remember, we can always make cactus arms, or remember even our first exercise that we did with those arms extended, we could be here because this is all going to help us to one day get here if we don't have the space and the strength today. One more breath here. Let's go ahead and inhale now to straighten out left leg. Exhaling, hands to hips. And then we're going to heel toe that back foot in. When we're ready, we step the feet together and we come back towards the front edge of our mats. Okay. And now we're going to make our way towards the floor. So coming towards the front edge of our mat, and again, we're probably already there, but I'm moving around a little bit more for my demoing purposes. So as we get prepared to come towards the floor, we're going to do a forward fold. So getting ready to take some deep breaths here as we make our way into that forward fold. So we find our mountain pose. Maybe we think, I'm going to do a forward fold. Maybe I'm going to widen my feet apart a little bit to create some room for the hips and the lower back. And now what's amazing is that when we forward fold, sometimes we actually create this arch in the lower back and we push our buttocks back out behind us when we fold. And that's because many of us have tightness in the backs of the legs, and so that eases the experience. But in time, it causes strain on the lower back. So today's yoga forward fold, we come into mountain pose first. Gentle engagement of the core muscles, all those muscles that live along the spine. We're drawing them in as we posterior tilt the tailbone. And we're going to do the same work we did with our shoulders from the start of class. We're going to inhale our arms up. And this time we're going to dive forward as we exhale. We're not going to arch the lower back. We're going to draw it in as we dive forward. imagine, and we're gonna see if we can bring our fingertips towards the floor. And if we can, then we're gonna come here and release the neck and head. And then we'll be here for 3 more breaths. Inhaling slowly and evenly in through the nose, and exhaling slowly and evenly out through the nose. And as we get ready to come down to our hands and knees, you can use your fingertips here, pushing into the floor with your hands. See if you can shift your weight into your right foot to help steer your left foot back behind you to then drop your left knee down. And then continuing to push into my hands to help. I'm steering the weight more into my left side to bring my right foot back to drop my right knee down. And now we're on the hands and knees, but we're actually gonna come to standing on the hands and knees. And I'm even gonna fold my yoga mat in for a moment here to make a little knee guard for my knees. And as we come to standing on the knees, we'll bring our hands towards our waist and do that move we've been practicing, pulling the shoulders and elbows back. So now we're gonna find mountain pose while we're standing on the knees. We're tucking the tailbone under and we got this gentle core engagement. We're gonna do a little bit of a front of the neck stretch and maybe a little bit of a back bend too. So what we really need to do is make sure these hips stay on top of these knees. So keep pushing your hands into your hips and then roll the shoulders back, and that creates your back bend. You don't have to go deep, you're in control here. Now, remembering to lengthen the neck and head. So think about this, think about pushing your face to the ceiling to get the stretch in the front of the neck here. And then stay here if you can for 2 more breaths. And then we'll bring the head back down. We draw the core in. And now our knees are gonna come to, our hands are gonna come to the floor, and I'm gonna undo my yoga mat here. And now we're gonna be on our hands and our knees. You can roll the hips from side to side. Now to transition to the floor, this could be a little bit tricky, but hopefully everyone's gonna be able to follow me. I'm gonna walk my knees towards my hands a little bit, and I'm gonna try to sit back Japanese style, we sometimes say. Then I'm gonna bring my hands over to the right and bring my hips over to the right too. So now I've freed my feet out to the left side here. And what I'm gonna try to do is if the right foot gets caught under the left foot, just making sure to bring that right foot forward first. And then that should help you swing your legs forward. And from here, we're gonna use our core engagement. Maybe we're gonna bend a little bit into the knees, and I'm actually gonna walk myself a little bit more forward using my butt. And then I'm gonna lean back into my right elbow and then my left elbow, use a little core engagement, use a chin tuck to roll the torso onto the floor. And now making sure we're cozy, that we got enough room here on the floor. We can bend at the knees for a moment, and we're gonna check in. We're gonna lengthen the arms alongside the body. The feet we're gonna try to place hips distance apart for a moment here. And this is gonna be a bit of a foundational shape for the floor work we're about to do. So now I want us to tune into our spine, and that of course is connecting us to our deep internal abdominal muscles. So let's push the entire spine from the neck to the tip of the spine near the pelvic floor in towards the floor. And what that should do is as you push your lower back in towards the floor, you should feel your glutes gently engage and start to just naturally lift off of the floor. And that's our core work. We're gonna keep holding that and breathing here as we lengthen through the neck and the head. And that's gonna be now what we wanna take with us as we come into bridge posture. So I'm gonna be getting ready to push into my feet, pushing into my hands, keeping this core engagement, keeping this glute engagement. Try to lift your hips off the ground. Try to really lift your hips. Maybe it's gonna be this nice diagonal line now from your knees to your shoulders. And we're just gonna push into the neck and head. We're gonna try to look straight ahead now up towards the ceiling to make sure that we protect the neck and head. And we're just gonna lift those hips. If we need to ever come out early, that's okay too, but we're gonna try to lift the hips here, strengthen the quads and the hamstrings for 1 more breath. And now we're gonna lower down. Good. And we're gonna get ready. We'll step 1 foot off the floor, bringing the right knee in towards the chest, left and then right knee in. And then we can give ourselves a little bit of a hug. Now, sometimes if you have to lift the chest off the floor to give yourself a hug, that's okay too. But making sure that when we try to come back to the floor, we're able to lengthen the neck and head onto the floor. And if that's not possible, maybe think of bringing a dramatic chin tuck as you pull those knees in for one more breath. And let's go ahead and release the knees and bring the head and neck back to the floor. And now the feet are going to come back to the floor, and we're going to get ready to lift this. I'll mirror you guys for this. So mirroring, we're going to bring our right foot up to the ceiling. So we're going to exhale, and we're going to kick our right foot up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to try to grab behind the right leg. Maybe you're still holding here around the thigh, but if you can reach the knee or maybe the calf, we'll take an inhale here, and we're going to try to bring this right leg towards the chest as we exhale. And then if you want to, you could play with pointing these toes, flexing these toes as we hold. And if you also want to explore straightening this left leg for a couple breaths, feel welcome to. And if that doesn't feel good, remember we could come back to this position, okay? All right, now we're gonna go ahead and bend this right knee, and now I'm gonna invite us to open the right knee out to the right side. And now for some of us, this might feel a little bit awkward. Some of us might be able to hold the leg out to the side. But if that's not possible, we'll try to aim here, and it might actually feel good in this instance to go ahead and straighten that left leg if you haven't already. Try to keep this hip down. It's gonna wanna lift off the floor, that left hip, so keep it grounded for one more breath. And now we'll go ahead and draw this right knee into the chest. And now we'll go ahead and put it onto the floor. We'll re-bend this left knee if it's not already, and we'll get ready for a second side. We're gonna exhale left foot up to the ceiling. The hands can go behind the thigh, staying right here. Trying to hold the leg up. Maybe you're more in this shape, that's okay too. Some of us, different bodies, and have been working on this stretch for a long time. I'm definitely able to bring my leg closer, but it's okay if we're here. If we have a bent knee too, that's okay. We're working on straightening that leg and breathing and trying to create calm rhythmic breaths as we face this stretch and challenge with the body. And then if you want to explore straightening that right leg if you haven't already, pointing and flexing this left foot if you haven't already, let's incorporate that now. And now I'm going to open this left leg out to the left side. So some of us might do it with a straight leg. I'm going to bend the knee and then open the knee out as much as I can. And now careful, the knee might want to start to point down. The foot might want to go this direction. Lift the foot up. We want to lift the knee up as much as we can, and then we want to externally rotate in this hip from that femur bone. Good. All right, we're gonna lift back up to center. Let's go ahead and inhale the knee into the chest. And then we'll go ahead and exhale. We'll draw that foot in back to the floor. Now, if this right knee is not bent, we'll go ahead and bend it, and then we're gonna lift one foot at a time, and we're gonna draw the knees back into the chest to give ourselves a hug and roll from side to side. And then we're going to try to open up into a squat position from here. So we're going to, from our knees together, we're going to open our knees wide apart. And then some of us might stay right here. Maybe you point and flex the toes playing with this. Or can we lift into happy baby, lifting the feet up to the ceiling, but keeping a bent knee position with these thighs coming into the chest? We can help. Maybe we hold around the calves. Maybe we hold around the thighs. Or bring your arms to the inside of your legs and then guide the hands to the outside of the feet for a full squat in happy baby. And then you can stay in stillness, especially if it's already hard for you to navigate your shape. Stay in stillness, lengthening the spine as you come into your squat. But if you are here a little bit more easefully, you can play a little bit with rolling from side to side to massage that lower back. All right, now coming back to center, we're gonna lift the feet up towards the ceiling, and we're gonna maybe extend our arms into a T. So bring our arms to the floor if this feels safe. And if you wanna do a little bit more, we can bend at the elbows. And we made this shape while we were standing in mountain pose. So remembering the elbows are lifted up in line with the shoulders. And we're trying to flex the feet as we lift the legs towards the ceiling. And remember, some of us might be more here. So really push your lower back into the floor to support your legs with your core, okay? And if you need to come out early, that's okay too. We're trying to hold for one more breath. And then we can go ahead and release. And we can bend at the knees, and we're gonna draw the feet towards the floor. Okay, coming into some outer hip work now. We'll bring our arms back alongside the body. We're gonna bring the right foot on an exhale up towards the ceiling. And then we're gonna cross the outer right ankle over the top of the left knee for a figure 4. So sometimes people think more about this being the shape that we need to make, but I want us to understand that the shape is about feeling a nice stretch in this outer hip. So first thing we need to do is flex this right foot and move this right knee away from us. And now the next thing we need to do is bring this right foot in close to us by lifting the left foot off the ground. And I'm bringing my left hand to the outside of my left thigh here. So my right hand is on my right knee, opening my right knee away from me. My right foot is flexed, and my left hand is behind my left thigh, pushing my foot in. And this is where I feel an awesome and very real stretch in the outer right hip. And hopefully you are too. And if you don't, and you know you need to go for a really deep thread the needle, feel welcome to, okay? But what we're trying to do is achieve a drawing of this right foot into the body and this right knee away from the body to create that stretch here. And that's what all of this on the left side and with the arms is about. It's about creating that stretch right here, okay? So feeling that, stabilizing it, the knee on the right side with that flexed right foot for one more breath. If your left foot is lifted, we're gonna lower it. We're gonna push the lower back into the floor, lift the right foot up to the ceiling, and then lower it back down. We're getting ready for second side. We push the back into the floor as we exhale, left foot lifts. Cross the outer left ankle over the top of the right knee. Same concept. I'm gonna use my left hand to push my left knee away from me. And now my left foot is gonna flex. I'm gonna take my right hand to my right thigh. I'm gonna lift my right foot off the floor, and I'm gonna start steering my left foot towards me. But what about this left knee? It's moving away from me. And now what's happening? I got a big stretch in my outer left hip. And that is a hard area of the body to stretch. So we want to feel it right now. We want to breathe deeply into this work that we're doing. And then remember, if you got a thread the needle pose and you want to go full into any expression with your arms to get that fullest stretching sensation that works for you, remembering it's all about opening the knee away as the foot draws in. Deep and sound breathing. Now, if this right foot is lifted, we'll go ahead and lower it, releasing our hands. Draw the lower back into the floor so that we can protect it as we lift the left foot up and lower the left knee down. So we're coming into a twist from here to continue the work on those outer hips. And from this bent knee position with the feet about hip distance apart, I'm gonna walk my feet over towards the left just a little bit, and now I'm gonna swing my hips over to meet my feet over to the left. But I'm gonna bring my knees now to the right. So I moved my hips to the left, I brought my knees to the right. And now I need to lift these knees up because they're a little bit low and I'm still not getting the stretch in the outer hip and I'm feeling some discomfort in my body. So I need to lift those knees up. So that's when now my right hand can come to my left knee. And this shoulder now on the left side has left the ground. So maybe you're gonna steer your hand back and the shoulder will come back towards the floor. And that's what creates this deep twist through the waist. But if that's not comfortable for you, draw that left arm in and be here. So your choice, okay? And maybe you can take the gaze towards your left side too. We'll stay here for 3 more deep breaths. Trying to inhale slowly and evenly into the body. And exhale slowly and evenly to let that CO2 out of the body fully before beginning again to inhale. Bringing that fresh oxygenated blood throughout the form in this shape now. We'll go ahead and release the knee if you haven't already. I'm gonna walk 1 foot at a time. Help me draw my hips back to center. So now I re-square. Okay, shoulders are flat, hips are flat, getting ready for second side. So now I'm gonna move my hips and feet to the opposite direction. First my right foot, then my left foot, then my right hip and left hip move. And now I gotta lift my knees up as I come to the outer left hip. Left hand coming to right knee, optional. To anchor and also to ensure that we get this position that we're looking for. And then if you have the opening through the shoulders, drawing this hand out and the shoulder towards the floor, maybe you'll take the gaze too. The gaze doesn't have to follow, it can stay nicely to center, okay? Deep and sound breathing here. You can even close the eyes if you like. Drawing the gaze within. Calming the body and the mind as we come back to the breath. And we're going to get ready to transition out of this shape now. Releasing the knee, bringing the gaze maybe back to center. I bring the feet and knees back. I square the hips off. And now I'm going to step 1 foot at a time. Draw the knees into the chest. Lengthen the spine, neck, and head along the floor as you do. Okay. And now we're going to bring our feet towards the floor. And we're going to get ready to widen the knees apart for a butterfly position. If this is uncomfortable, move your feet a little bit further away from you as you widen your knees apart. And that should make it a little bit more accessible. Some folks are open and they don't have any tickles in the lower back, and they can draw the feet in closer and feel a comfortable drawing of the knees out towards the sides. And then you can choose if you want to repeat a more vigorous opening, a more vigorous alignment that really opens the body. You can go back to this, but it could be nice to have the arms alongside the body with the palms facing up. Still opens us in the shoulders, but starts to get us ready to draw in while we have this big hip opening. So you could do that. And if you want to bring the one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, you could do that too. So whatever feels good here. We're making sure that we don't have any discomfort here in the lower back. So we need to check in with that. And if we do, we want to come out of this shape and go ahead and extend the legs into shavasana, okay? Inhaling slowly and evenly in through the nose, and exhaling slowly and evenly out through the nose. Melting those hips here. And if you're ready to stay here for a longer yin style session, feel welcome to hold this shape for longer. And some of us might close in a traditional sleeping shape, shavasana. And so we'll go ahead and extend the legs out now if we are doing that. Extending the arms if we haven't already. Fixing your attire if you need to. Grab a blanket or a towel to stay warm. And then maybe taking a cleansing breath. Before letting the breath shallow so that there's very little movement in your body. And this is where I'll leave you. Feel free to stay here for as long as you like. And have a great rest of your day. Namaste.